at you all the way from our dorm rooms to your conference rooms. Sabah and Dan Teeman here, two college students who are ready to talk to you guys about business and lifestyle from our personal experiences.
Each week we'll discuss about our lifestyle as college students as well as our tips and strategies starting in the business field. We'll bring on successful entrepreneurs in the millennial generation, share with us their journey and how they got started and where they're at now.
Our goal is to help you students, millennials, and entrepreneurs gain inspirational advice by our spontaneous conversations and meaningful guidance. Let's dive on in.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 53 of Dorm Rooms and Conference Rooms. And always joining me, I have my co-host, Sabah. Sabah, how are you doing today?
I am doing pretty good. I'm super excited today because I officially just got off my Facebook Live and my book is physically up on Amazon now. And Dan, you got a version in the mail. So I'm just super pumped about that also.
Yeah, no, that's actually really, really cool. I did get my version in the mail the other day. Basically, Sabah talked about it on her Facebook Live today. And I'm going to be honest to God's truth. I didn't open it all the way and she said something about signing it. And before I knew it, I had to open it, and it was signed. So thank you for the free copy, Sabah, and thank you for signing it as well. I'll be selling it tomorrow for millions of dollars. I already know that.
You know it.
But anyway, guys, what we're talking about today is we're going to talk about how time is the most valuable thing that you have. Guys, we've been trying to schedule a podcast with certain people for about 2 to 3 weeks now, and every single time we're scheduling, all of a sudden they go missing and all of a sudden they have something come up. And I get it. Like, if you do have something come up, that's completely understandable. But after it's the third time, you start to waste your time, and it's the most valuable thing you have. And it's something you'll never get back. Like, you hear that all the time. But Sabah, just kind of get us going about how valuable time is to you. I mean, you spent a lot of time writing that book of yours, and people could say, oh, that was a waste of time. You could have spent it out with your friends. You could have spent it playing video games or whatever it might be. Just talk about how you like to utilize your time and what it does to you when someone just doesn't respect your own time personally.
Yeah, so like I know recently, especially like over the past year or so, time has become so much more valuable to me, especially being a college student in school. I have full schedule of classes. I'm working on obviously this podcast, my side business. So I schedule out literally every second of every day. So for me, and especially like for both of us, if we schedule out a block of time for like an hour to set up a podcast show with somebody, and then they just don't show up or they flake out like the day of and they do it maybe like 3 times in a row, like that's really upsetting and frustrating for us because we blocked out that time to give our attention to them. So I know, especially when you start becoming more of an influencer, people can start actually taking advantage of you because they see like you're doing so well. I mean, sometimes they just don't even really care if they block out a time to talk to you and they're like, oh, I'd rather go do something else. And I know like even for me, sometimes I do that, but just like with my friends and stuff like that. I mean, once in a while it's fine, it's understandable, but when you like consistently do that, it's just really bad even for your reputation, for your brand. Because like, I mean, some people like when they schedule out, like especially like a podcast or interview, like for me, that's really important. Like that's my priority. And like for some people, I guess if they're higher up influences, they might think like, oh, if I'm doing a podcast with somebody who's just starting out, that might not be my top priority. But I mean, if you're gonna set up a time, I feel like you should follow through with it, you know, Dan?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, time is something, like I said before, really valuable. I mean, just like you, I block out my time very well, and I utilize it to its fullest potential just because I don't get that back. And if I'm not working towards achieving my goals, I'm just standing still, not doing anything. And that's not what I want. If it's blocked out to spend time with family, I'm going to be with family. I'm not going to deal with anything else or with my girlfriend or whatever it might be. And I'm just not going to deal with anything else at the time. And the biggest thing right now is working 9 to 5 for a little bit. I don't have as much time as some of these other influencers do. And the only reason I say they do have time, even though they're super busy, is because they can work that into their schedule if they really wanted to. And it just shows, I wouldn't say it's disrespectful towards us, but it really just shows that they might not value our time, what we have going on, because it just, you keep blocking that out, and then all of a sudden something like that pops up and it's gone. But we still utilize it to our fullest advantage. Like right now, this time was actually meant to be for that interview, and instead we're going to hop on, record a couple shows, and keep working towards our goals, because like Sabah said, when we record a show, that's an hour we block out, and that's just for the interview portion. It doesn't even talk about the part where then we have to go in and make the edits. Sabah has to write the show notes. There's a lot that goes into this whole production that a lot of people don't know about, and a lot of people don't, give us the most respect for. But it's just, it's frustrating, and you just have to be respectful of each other.
Yeah, definitely. And this quote that I really like is, it's not about having time, it's about making time. So this really goes for anything. If you're scheduling out interviews, if you're scheduling out your classes, hanging out with your friends, there's 24 hours in the day. And if you keep saying you don't have time to, you're never going to get to that one thing that you really want to do. So, it's not about not having time always. It's also about making time into your schedule, because I know in our previous podcast, we talked about scheduling out your days and how you can always make time to send that one last email or make a post on Facebook or reach out to a client. So, if you are wanting to, I don't know, for me, write a book, I blocked out 30 days in 1 year to write a book, and now it's done with, it's up on Amazon, and I did it. It's finished. That was one of my goals. And I did that because I wrote it down, I scheduled out a time to do so, and now it's done. So, it really goes for anything that you really want to do. Just block out your timing and then just work it out from there.
Yeah, and even in our last episode, you heard us talking to Derek about what he thought, college students should be doing to utilize their time in the most proper way, whether you're working 9 to 5. And if you guys listen to it all the way, you heard me talk about how I schedule out my lunch during my lunch breaks. I'm working on my business. When I come home afterwards, there's 8 more hours, like you said. I'm working on my business during those 8 hours. I go to work out. There's always time. You just have to make it, and you have to be, scheduling that out and taking advantage of it, because if you don't take advantage of your time, the day will just fly by you. You'll really not be that productive as you can be. And even when you think you are being productive, there is always a better way to be more productive, whether it's outsourcing something or whether it's, working on your business instead of just goofing off. Think about how much time you spend on Facebook or spend on Twitter, Instagram, whatever it might be. I fortunately have the pleasure of being able to work on Facebook every day. So when I do go on Facebook, it's usually for business, and I'm not going to say that I'm perfect and don't get sidetracked, but I do get sidetracked. I do other shit, and I have to pay attention more and focus in. And you always just got to stay focused on what your goal is.
Yeah, and then I mentioned before, as when you start getting more influential in a specific field you're working in, so for Dan, he's working in digital marketing. He knows a lot about Facebook ads. When people see that you're doing that, they're going to start wanting your time. They're going to want to talk to you about their business, how you can help them, which is fine. But sometimes those people, they take advantage of you because all they want to do is pick your brain. They want to talk to you. They want to see what tips you use for your clients and stuff like that. So it's important to know the people that you are willing to help out, and then the people who are just taking advantage of you.
Yeah, I know that for a fact. I've had so many people ask me questions, and I do, help certain people out. If Sabah has a question, obviously I'm going to answer her right away, but
you better.
But yeah, there's just so many people that ask you questions, and it's good. You want to be interactive with your audience, especially if they look up to what you do, but you have to know when it's a time waster. And when I do talk to people, I make sure the first question out of their mouth isn't how can you help me, but rather they start with a dialogue of somehow, whether it's a hi or hey, my name's blah blah blah, I do X, and it gets you more engaged. It gets me more engaged. I wonder what they do. I wonder how I can actually help them. And I see if something could work. But if someone comes out and just starts picking at my brain right away, I wouldn't say give them the time of day, but I don't always respond. So you have to be smart about how you, even now, how you guys talk to influencers, the first thing you shouldn't do is go and ask them a question, right? Well, what can they do for you? But turn that around. What can you do for them? And how can you help them? And really, if it's time, they want you. I know right now I offered to help somebody actually edit their podcast. to help, give them back some of their time, because he said it's so consuming of what they do. And I know that if I do this for him, it'll actually put us on a better foot together, and I can work my way to building that relationship. And this is something that's worth my time because of what it's going to happen in the long run.
Yeah, for sure. And just like going off of all that, like you've seen all of our podcasts within the like couple months, and Dan and I, we always reach out to influencers. We talk to them, and the one thing we always do is we add value to them. So, I mean, their time is valuable, our time is valuable. So it's always good to get the best out of the conversation that you are about to have with whoever it is that you want to connect with, talk to, or even work with. But yeah, it's like pretty much just don't waste your time doing stuff that isn't going to help you, and then don't waste other people's time either.
Guys, we really do have some great things coming out for you. We're working diligently with some influencers to provide a lot of value coming out here shortly. And if you guys really want to keep up to date with us on what we're doing, you go find us more directly at dr2cr.com. Sabah, what are some final words?
Definitely always make time to reach out to people, connect with them, but make sure that your time is also very valuable. So don't let people take advantage of you guys. But thank you guys so much for listening today on Dorm Rooms to Conference Rooms.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Dorm Rooms to Conference Rooms. Don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you haven't joined our accelerator program yet, you can find that at livetogrind.com/college, where we connect you with today's latest influencers and experts in their fields.